Here's a big one I want you to talk about. I think you definitely, I don't know if you'll be able to talk about this, but I'm like 99% certain you will be able to talk about this
Sure.
because you understand the industrial architecture of the platform. Palantir talks a lot about being the ontology of an organization in terms of the ability to connect relational databases. Can you like break down what does it mean for Palantir to be the ontology of a company's data?
So at its most basic level, here's the problem, is there is a lot of risk in the modern enterprise of who is seeing data, how they're seeing it, and in the value that they're pulling from it, both from a standpoint of whatever was leaked, how does it come back to the way they're running their business. If you can represent the golden ticket of knowledge for your business, right? Just in this case, I'm assuming that's what they mean for Palantir. If we know that there is a single place where all the data is connected with how it's connected, what it's connected to, secondary connections, and I can go back and track any issue with data all the way back to a source system, that gives me a centralized location to understand everything I need to know about what we're seeing, why we're doing things, what decisions were made. But also, no one wants to be on Bloomberg tomorrow night because their system got hacked. They want to be able to track back who has access to this, which hierarchies of permission sets are tied back to which data sets and data sources. And oftentimes we also hear this quite a bit where I want my sales team to have what they need, but I want my finance team to have what they need, and I want, whatever. This is a way where some people need it all. So I'm going to turn on total permission to see everything that sits within that central location of data from an analytics perspective in this case. And I'm going to give some people access to certain types of data. Some people have access to other data flows and models that are coming out. That's the way to think about it, is we just need to be able to track back who, what, where, and why was data touched, integrated, and used, and for what reason, outcome, system, et cetera, is it being done. Nowadays, the modern architecture, it doesn't look like that. It's thousands of lines, interconnected, cross-weaved, and oftentimes the wrong systems with outdated data.
Right. And if Palantir can become the ontological backbone of an organization, then I mean that becomes incredibly valuable at that point. Two last questions for you. Number one, SPACs. How do you feel about that theory? Do you think it's a cool little play to like get in front of these companies that are going to become pioneers of different industries using data? Like, are you bullish on the thesis? Why do you think they're doing the SPACs?
Okay, so I went through Y Combinator startup school a while back. And one of the cool things about that is I think about it in the same way that like they invest in their successful companies that come out. They have investor day where they have people who are trained in the YC ways to then invest in their YC companies. And this has made them wildly successful because they're in at the ground floor and can influence the way a company goes.
Right.
When I look at Foundry and the way they work with brand new startups, like one person, two person entrepreneur teams to build their companies, they're standardizing on their product right from the get-go. They're going to be able to help guide them and direct them towards the best way to deploy that and get that out to the market. So the SPAC process for them is an easy way to capitalize and cash out as the sponsor of that SPAC.
Right.
And know the process of who they're getting behind when they do it. Now, from like a business risk perspective, the risk is huge. They could blow up. SPACs could become the big no to touch in the investment world, right? Who knows? But it's not surprising though, because if you look at the leadership team and the funding team here, right? We've got Teal, we've got Lionsdale. Like these are hardcore PE VC guys who are going to want to have opportunities to have other exits and outcomes. This is an easy way. Well, even take that further back. I mean, I think people don't realize like this is just super common.
Yeah.
We talk about Palantir because most people don't dig into the weeds of the other huge tech companies. They're all doing the same thing. Sometimes what they'll do is just act as VC or PE for them rather than a SPAC. The SPAC actually sort of completes the process where they now can just take it and put it out in the public eye.
Right.
So I think that it's an interesting play, but one we're going to have to see how it works out. Now, in my opinion, they could just as easily do DPOs or IPOs with them as well, and just simply be a shareholder in that process as opposed to doing it in a SPAC. But I'm indifferent either way. I have heard some of the negatives, and I see them in your comments too sometimes. And it speaks to the fact that a lot of folks don't seem to understand exactly how this works, because the SPACs you hear about on TV are very negative, because that's what gets people to turn on CNN or whoever. And it's always talking about a SPAC scam or this one went bad, or they'll point to like electric vehicles where 30 different people SPACed on the same day, basically. SPACs have been around for a long time. It's just a new name for something that's been happening forever. This is just an easy way to get liquid on your investment within a company that you've been investing in. So I'm indifferent towards it. I don't know if it helps or hurts. I think the reality is, if we know where they've already put the money, we can calculate that risk in as part of the overall valuation of the company.
Right.
And if we think that there's room for upside on any of those SPACs, it's very easy to build that into like a high-end model where we're going to be on price as well.